everybody, and thanks so much for joining me for another Solar Power Astrology update. We're headed towards the last full moon of the year. Can you believe it? It's December already. This year has flown by, and before we go hurtling off into 2018, this is a good chance for us to just stop, reflect, reassess, and look at our year. So what's the theme for this full moon? Well, first of all, it's a super moon, which means that it's bigger than normal. It's closer to the Earth than normal, which means that it's much bigger and much more powerful. The full moon is in Gemini, which means that it's opposite the Sun in Sagittarius. And so it's a very strong theme of communication. Gemini is the rational mind, it's our thoughts, it's how we speak, it's how we communicate, how we think, our thought patterns, the patterns which drive us forward or hold us back. Analysis paralysis would be a Gemini thing. It's ruled by the planet Mercury, and the Sun in Sag. Sag is the planet of, or Sag is the sign of higher learning, philosophy, wisdom, higher consciousness. So taking our thought patterns and finding truth. So it's the seeker of truth, the seeker of wisdom, the seeker of higher knowledge, higher learning. So this axis is basically those two polarities. Now it gets a bit more complicated than that. So it's always a time of the year when we look at our rational mind and we try to find learnings in what's coming up for us. This year though, the ruler of the moon. So every month we have a full moon and it's in a sign, and the ruler of that sign will be the ruler of the full moon. So the ruler of this full moon is Mercury, which is the planet of communication. Now the planet of communication, Mercury, is going retrograde the day after full moon. So it means that we've got this waxing energy of the moon. So the moon is growing towards her fullness, and straight after the full moon she starts to wane, which means that she starts to release, and we start to release things in preparation for the next moon cycle in 2 weeks from the 3rd. Now, the same thing happens with Mercury in a way, because Mercury is now stationing, which means that it's at the same degree, and it's still on the day of the full moon, and then the day after it starts to actually go retrograde. And most of us know about Mercury retrograde. A lot of you will have experienced the issues of Mercury retrograde. So those can be anything from losing data on your phone, to having your phone stolen, to your computer crashing and losing all your information. It can also translate into any kind of travel arrangements getting messed up, accommodation not being there when you've booked it, and then also sometimes communications with other people, because it's the planet of communication in the sign of communication. So there's likely to be some of that, but not to get too hung up on the negatives. Rather, just do what you have to do to actually back up your stuff before Mercury goes retrograde. If you can stay away from signing contracts during Mercury retrograde, great. If you can't, just make sure that you have them checked, because there might be a case where you sign something and then you have to re-sign it again. Now there's also another aspect to this full moon. The full moon is in a square aspect to Neptune, and Neptune is quite a nebulous, it's the spiritual planet, it's the ruler of Pisces, it's about the fish, it's about the ocean, it's about spirituality, it's about all being one. It can be a bit nebulous. It can also really help us to connect on a deeper level to other realms. So there's always that. But in terms of being on the Mercury theme and the communication theme, just be aware on the day of the full moon and the few days surrounding it, just be aware of your communications. Be very honest with your communication to yourself and to the people in your life, because there might be misunderstandings. You might, sometimes people, when there's a square between the moon and Neptune, or the sun and Neptune, and this time we've got it square both, there can be people telling you untruths, or to be blatant lying. So just be aware of that and try and get to the truth if you can. And be truthful to yourself as well. Neptune is the planet of dreams and hopes and visions and ideals. And sometimes we can get caught up in our ideals year in, year out. And those ideals can actually stop us from achieving what we want to achieve because we get caught up with the grand vision. And what I believe this new moon, this full moon is telling us to do is to be aware of that, where we might be shooting ourselves in the foot by that. And the reason I say that is that Mercury in this full moon is conjunct, or it means that it's at the same degree as Saturn. And Saturn is the teacher. He's the one that comes and wags his finger and says, have you done enough? Have you achieved the goals that you put out in the beginning of the year? Have you shown up? Have you been committed? He asks us that we find a mature way of living, that we're conscious about what we do and the choices that we make and the effect that they have on others. But now with the two in such close contact, what it's almost saying to me is it's saying, look at those dreams and those visions. Allow yourself to blue sky. Allow yourself to think out of the box, to dream about what your perfect ideal life is, but don't get stuck there. So I think some of us can get stuck in the dream, and the dream of this beautiful life that's going to happen when we make a lot of money, or when the country comes right, or when we find our passion, or we find that one person who makes us feel good. And that can sometimes be where we shoot ourselves in the foot because we keep waiting and we're not really doing anything to align ourselves to these dreams. Also, sometimes the dreams are very sort of scattered. So you might have a number of dreams or a number of things that you want to achieve or do, and because there's just too many, you don't get to do any of them. So it brings me to a subject which is quite close to my heart, which is passion and purpose, which is why I studied astrology. I studied astrology because I wanted to find my own passion, and I wanted to then help other people to find theirs, because I find that astrology is a very good tool to help to align and point out and reveal what areas our passion and our purpose lies in. But when I studied it, I kind of thought, well, it's a job, it's a thing that you do, it's your calling, and once you've got that, you'll feel fine and everything will be hunky-dory. And that's a bit of an ideal. First of all, the passion sometimes changes. So you might have a passion and then you might achieve that and then find that there's another passion, or find that it isn't what you thought it was, on whatever level, whether it's a job or a person or a home or whatever that the ideal doesn't live up to what it promised. And what I'm seeing this full moon as saying is that whatever those ideals are, just look at them, question them, see whether they're helping or hindering you. Liz Gilbert, who's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, she used to talk about passion a lot because she found her passion very young. She knew she wanted to be an artist. She knew she wanted to be a writer. So that's what she did. And that's what she spoke about over and over. And then one day she did a talk and somebody contacted her the next day and said, you've actually done me a disservice because I don't know what my passion is. And you've made me feel that I am a loser. So that didn't really help me. Anyway, that caused her to realign her ideas about passion. And what she suggested, and I completely agree with her, is that we follow our curiosity, not our passion. The passion is like this grand thing that we might feel that we're missing, or we're missing the boat, or it's escaped us, or whatever. Whereas curiosity is with us all the time. We're all curious about something. So to follow that curiosity step by step, and then to do what that curiosity is asking of us, that's far more likely to align us with our purpose. And our purpose is multidimensional. Our purpose isn't about a career. Our purpose is about living our uniqueness, as far as I can tell. It's about living the best life that we can live, and whatever that means. It doesn't mean that you have to have a career. It doesn't mean you have to achieve any great works. It just means that the more you align yourself with who you are at a deep level, the more you'll feel that you're on purpose. This last weekend, I listened to my body, which was quite tired, and I spent Saturday reading, which is such a pleasure. And I immersed myself in a book that I'd been lent by a friend, and it's the book, I've got it here, A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, the woman who wrote Grey's Anatomy, and also Private Practice and a few other really amazing series. And she basically committed herself, because of something somebody pointed out to her, that she would live a year saying yes. And one of the things she says yes to is saying yes to saying no, which is quite interesting. But the one that I want to focus on, and there's lots of wisdom in this little book, it's very easy to read, and it's quite funny, very authentic and very honest. And this is what this is all about for me. And what she says here, though, about dreaming, which lines up with what I'm saying, is she says, ditch the dream, be a doer, not a dreamer. Now that makes us kind of cringe, because we all want to dream, and I agree, and vision boards are all about dreaming, but without action, those dreams don't become anything. So she says here, maybe you know exactly what you dream of being, or maybe you're paralyzed because you have no idea what your passion is. The truth is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to know. You just need to keep moving forward. You just have to keep doing something, seizing the next opportunity, staying open to trying something new. It doesn't have to fit your vision of the perfect job or the perfect life. Perfect is boring, and dreams aren't always real. Just do. You think, I wish I could travel. You sell your crappy car and buy a ticket and go to Bangkok right now. I'm serious, she says. You say, I want to be a writer. Guess what? A writer is someone who writes every single day. No matter what. No matter whether they feel like it or not. No matter whether they have something to say or not. They sit down and write. The same applies to painters. If you feel that you want to paint, you need to paint. They say that any artist needs to draw every single day to be a really accomplished artist. The same applies to having the dream of getting fit or being really healthy. If we're not committing to something in terms of an action step or action steps, we're not ever going to do it. It's just going to be another year that goes by. So having said all that, it's not about judging, about saying, oh, you said you were going to do this, you're a loser, you're not worth the breath that you breathe. It's not about that. It's just about looking and saying, okay, this is what I did. So revisiting your year, reflecting. Mercury retrograde is reflecting, reassessing, rethinking, revisioning. So reflecting on your life and saying, what happened this year? The good, the bad, the ugly. What did I learn? If it was an ugly one and if there were lots and lots of challenges, what did I learn from them? And that's the polarity between Gemini and Sag. So something happens, the initial thought is, this is awful, it's a disaster, I had a terrible year, I can't wait for the end of it, and we leave it at that. Or you look at the year and you say, it's been a challenging year, and you itemize the challenges, and you say, okay, what have I learned from these challenges? How have I grown? What do I now know that I didn't know? What wisdom have I seeped into my bones? What is it that I know for sure now that I didn't know before? And may never have known had those things not happened. So even those things that are very irritating or very traumatic often have, and we all know that, often land up with wisdom and learning. In fact, that's how we grow. So that's a good thing to look at this full moon in terms of what has gone down this year, what's gone up, what have you learned, what have you achieved, and give yourself accolades for what you have actually achieved and where you have challenged and where you have beaten the odds. And in those places where you haven't, just be aware of it and then align and say, okay, how can I use this energy of Saturn and Mercury retrograde in the next 2 weeks after the full moon to actually let go of what I don't need, to reassess, to let go, give away, clear out thought patterns, people, stuff, old dreams, old defunct dreams that might not be real anymore, and to see what am I aligning with next year. Sag is the archer that basically shoots his arrows. And the way I see it for me, because I'm a double Sag, is I can shoot my arrows all over the place, which I'm inclined to do, and not achieve very much. Or I can take one or two and carefully take them out of the quiver and aim and shoot at one or two of them. And that's going to be probably better than if I take the whole thing and throw them all out in different directions. So that's my desire for the next year and some of the learnings that I've taken out of this year. So we can't always do everything. So it doesn't mean that those dreams have to die, but it does mean that it's about aligning with the ones that are really, really important and committing to those ones. So that's about it from me, I think, for this one. We've got another new moon coming up before the end of the month, and then that will help usher in the new year on a waxing moon, which is great. And I'll connect with you in a few weeks' time, either on a video or in a blog, one or the other, depends where I am. I am taking some time off, so it might be a very quick check-in. I'm taking time off on the 9th, when I've got a workshop on the 9th. It's a wrap it up workshop where we're wrapping up the year. So we'll revisit what the year has brought for us and what our learnings are, and we'll find a symbol and make a collage to actually take us into the next year and align us with what's up for next year for us. I've also been asked to run a workshop on the 8th, and what I've decided to do is open up my studio for those of you who would like to process with me. And whatever you'd like to do artistically or whatever you'd like to process, I'll hold the space for you and you can do it, so you can choose. You might want to finish off something that you've started during the year artistically, or you might want to work through an issue that you haven't quite worked through yet. You might want to let go of all that stuff before the end of the year. Whatever it is, there's an opportunity to come on the 8th, and if you can't make that, come on the 9th, and we'll do it as part of the Wrap It Up workshop. I do still have space on both. I'll be starting to consult again in the second week of January. So I'll connect with you in a few weeks' time. Enjoy the super moon. Use the energy. It's very powerful. Thank you.